Fridge light clicks on. 3 eggs, half a gallon, a long week to go. For millions of Americans, that scene isn't a metaphor, it's dinner. And this week, Washington nearly turned that light off for good. The government shutdown froze paychecks, shuttered offices, and threatened to cut off food aid for 42 million people on SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Then, in a rare act of judicial defiance, 2 federal judges stepped in and said no. Feed the families, use the reserves, do your job. Power met compassion in a courtroom. This is where policy stops being politics. Because behind every acronym, SNAP, USDA, OMB, there's a mother counting cans, a veteran stretching benefits, a child who doesn't understand why breakfast suddenly costs more. Judges in Massachusetts and Rhode Island ruled that pausing food aid during a shutdown violates both law and decency. Their message was simple. Bureaucracy isn't an excuse for hunger. If the payments stop, grocery stores and low-income neighborhoods lose customers overnight. Farmers see less demand. Truckers slow their routes. Hunger spreads like a shadow, unseen but heavy. The shutdown isn't abstract. It lives in checkout lines, classroom lunches, and gas stations where parents silently calculate how far they can stretch $10. SNAP wasn't built for chaos. It's a system designed to move automatically, not politically. A safety net that should be invisible until it's gone. But in today's Washington, even the safety net has fine print. Emergency funds can bridge a few weeks, but not months. And every extension requires a signature from the same leaders who caused the problem in the first place. When the government stalls, the country doesn't stop. Communities improvise, food banks extend hours, volunteers drive across counties to deliver boxes where funding dried up. Local grocers quietly run tabs for families they know by name. And somewhere in a fluorescent-lit office, an exhausted caseworker stays late, printing one more benefits card because they can't stomach saying no. The judges didn't solve the shutdown. They reminded Washington who the job is for. Their ruling invoked both the Constitution and conscience, 2 things that rarely share a headline. In doing so, they prove something bigger. Checks and balances aren't just theory. They're dinner on the table. Across the country, small towns and big cities are quietly proving what government forgot. Solidarity still works. Church kitchens, student groups, even local restaurants are opening their doors, refusing to let neighbors go hungry. It's not charity, it's citizenship. Because that word, citizen, means more than taxpayer or voter. It means keeper. The keeper of a shared promise that no one should face an empty fridge in the richest country on earth. And yet here we are, millions one missed paycheck away from hunger, depending on a system that was never designed to pause. Every shutdown turns the safety net into a countdown. Every political standoff becomes a test of endurance for the poor. But this time, someone in a black robe said enough. In a world of headlines about power plays and partisanship, 2 judges remembered what government is supposed to do: serve. It wasn't dramatic, no cameras, no applause, just a legal order telling the USDA to keep food aid flowing. But in homes across America, that decision was everything. A grandmother in Detroit who cares for her grandkids won't have to skip dinner to make breakfast. A single father in Tulsa can still buy milk before the weekend. A veteran in Kentucky won't need to pawn his tools just to feed his family. That's the quiet power of compassion backed by law. And it raises a question Washington rarely asks. When did feeding people become political? SNAP costs less than 2% of the federal budget, yet it feeds 1 in 8 Americans. It's one of the most efficient programs ever built, and one of the first threatened every time the government locks up over partisan gridlock. The irony? Many of the communities hit hardest by these shutdown threats are the same ones that send leaders to Washington promising to protect American families. But protecting families doesn't start at the border, it starts at the dinner table. The judge's ruling was a moment of clarity, a reminder that law without humanity is just paperwork, and that sometimes defending democracy looks less like speeches and more like making sure a kid eats before school. When history looks back on this shutdown, it won't remember who won the standoff. It'll remember who stood up when the lights flickered. Because somewhere tonight, a fridge light still glows. 3 eggs, half a gallon. Still a long week to go. But this time, there's a plan, a ruling, A reminder that somewhere, someone decided compassion isn't suspended when Congress clocks out. Maybe the system isn't broken. It's just waiting for people brave enough to fix it. It's not about shutdowns, it's about awakenings. Ordinary people, judges, caseworkers, volunteers, quietly holding up a fraying safety net while politicians argue. The fridge light stays on tonight because justice sometimes looks like breakfast, and hope that the light never goes out again. Subscribe for more untold stories that shine a light where power tries to hide.